Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, dear government. Yes, colleagues were saying that in addition to all of this, Dashnaktutun as a party annually pays 8 million in taxes. Therefore, there is a mismatch. To continue the topic of Dashnaktutun party, Honorable Prime Minister, yesterday, Factor TV had this article. I have facts that Pashinyan committed state treason and continues. Under this heading, our colleague Artsvik Minasyan accused you of state treason. He said that he is the first person who in 2021-2022 had 18 pages of evidence in a case he sent to the prosecutor's office on prima facie elements of state treason to initiate a criminal case. And he said that naturally all of this will not be discussed because law enforcement authorities, they are all afraid, they belong to our government and so on. You see, I often think, is it worth to clarify all of this or not? But as a part of the hybrid war, not only on the air, but in discussions with different groups in society, they continue to disseminate ideas that we do not clarify. They eventually create some fear and unpleasant feelings among the citizens of the Republic of Armenia. I would ask you, if possible, if you consider appropriate to respond to this statement by Mr. Minasyan. Let's try to understand how it's possible to combat the hybrid war against us, the hybrid war that was started by these so-called opposition. Thank you. Question will be answered by Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. Thank you for the question, Mrs. Badalian. Well, to have 18 pages of facts, 18 is it? And to send them to the prosecution office, the one he doesn't trust, and he said it a few times in this auditorium, and to publish it for society, he sent it to the prosecution office. Fine, but let him present it to the public. What about public pressure? This is the continuation of my previous answer. To have a fact like this as a political force, and to come to the parliament and to sit here, ask a couple of so-called questions and to run away from the half of it, they need to do this in objective reality. If they have these facts, if they have the evidence, and now they haven't sold their 74 pieces of property to invest it for salvation of homeland, then they are traitors. They're sleeping in their homes, coming here, as upset as you may be. They ask a couple of pseudo questions in the European platforms. Well, go ahead, publish it. Publish it for the people. If there is something like that, could people sleep in peace? No, they couldn't. But then what are they doing? Let them publish. Let them publish, and if they sent it to the prosecution office, let them publish. As a result, there is another article in the criminal code. It's about falsely reporting a crime. Let them publish. And I actually didn't know about that statement. I personally would encourage. I will actually apply to the prosecution office. And firstly, demand that they publish those facts. And if those facts are not substantiated, then what do we do? Should he be prosecuted for falsely reporting a crime? Why not? Why not? I repeat, are these 18 pages published? Well then, you see, well listen, 18 pages of facts, he says he has them, he sends it to that prosecution office he does not trust, they don't trust, they publicly say that, they say they do not trust the judicial legal system, they send it to the prosecution office, but the public, and every day they say, dear compatriots, are they keeping it secret from the dear compatriots? Let them publish. Who are the better prosecution, better courts, better law enforcement, better fair judges than dear compatriots? Publish, let the people judge. Why don't they publish? What is that? It was tried in court? Which court? People's court? Well, no. So if people know about it, and the people, when? By the way, was it heard before the election or after the election? What can I say? What can I say? Do you have a remark? Go ahead. I forgot to say, and now I will say it. Artspeak Minasyan, in that same interview, which was just yesterday, by the way, that interview, he said, you have no right to conceal your activities, and you yourselves should reach out to law enforcement and urge them to investigate yourselves. Okay, I apply now. Yeah, you just made that application, because insofar as you don't do it, the treason is growing by the day. Mr. Prime Minister, of course, we all understand, and I'm hopeful that citizens of the Republic of Armenia also understand all these manipulative actions, because the same way, in the same interviews, in different platforms, they say that this periodical called circular number 004 was created supposedly in Civic's basement, but it's Dashnaktutyun's circular. I will join you and ask to have it published as well, so people understand whether anything has been distorted or not. To keep everything secret and to manipulate the people is a situation that will reach its culmination in 2026 as part of the hybrid war, and we all should be ready. But I want to ask a brief question too, if you allow me, very brief question. Please, 1 minute, 5 seconds, not 1 minute, shorter. Yesterday, in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, where the Zangezur corridor expression was used, again, there are two propositions in society that some people think that this is ordered by Azerbaijan, and others think by our opposition, parliamentary or extra-parliamentary opposition. They even give names of people who are in ties with this member of parliament, and they want that whole Zangezur corridor question to be asked and some comments to be made. So I would like to ask you to give an explanation or a statement to our society on how we can defend ourselves against these false propositions, these false, manipulative, conspirological activities that undermine the Republic of Armenia. Thank you. First, I want to go back to 2020 and 2021. In 2021, I resigned. We all resigned. And in 2021, I engaged in a pre-election campaign, and here is what I said. And many of our allies were very dissatisfied, but that's what I said. I said, if people decide that I should face the wall of being shot to death, I will humbly stand before that wall. The most fair judge has judged us. The people, being the most fair judge, have judged us, and they will judge us again. The most fair judges, I have no doubt in it. They keep saying hybrid attacks, etc. I don't take this seriously, because there's the stronger hybrid attack against us was in 2020, 2021. That hybrid attack is just inconceivable. My grandfather, whom they said was a traitor in World War II, can you imagine? My grandfather, internationally, not just in Armenia, they ran a campaign saying that my grandfather supposedly was collaborating with the Nazis in World War II and is a traitor, etc. What greater hybrid thing can one do? What is soon going to happen, or is already happening, is really at the dessert to the hybrid. In politics, there are two things: ideas, beliefs, and dialogue. Is that dialogue happening? If it's happening, the whole world cannot solve any issues if they come together. On the second point, what is my understanding? Especially after speeches in international fora, my perception is that when Azerbaijan says Zangezur corridor, they mean the Horadiz-Zangelan road. They want to say Zangezur corridor, let them call it Zangezur corridor. And I say, In the Republic of Armenia, there is no such thing. And I can prove not only with my signature, but the signature of the President of Azerbaijan, Horadiz-Zangelan Road. Zangelan corridor, Zangezur corridor. They can say it's a corridor that leads to Zangezur. Okay, fine. They want to say it, let them say it. But it's not about Armenia. It isn't about Armenia. And therefore, when you say what would be my appeal, that's my appeal. Those two speeches and the analysis of the reaction to the speeches shows its reference to the Horadiz-Zangelan road. They want to give it names. We have to ask, are we bothered by this? I'm very sorry, but they may call it, I'm really sorry. God bless his soul, Albert Einstein. Let them call it that. It has nothing to do with our sovereign territory. I have signed the document. It's a public document, papers, documents. In the territory of our country, there's the trip route, and in the territory of our country, there's the crossroads of peace. Well, they may say, have you agreed with Azerbaijan about the crossroads of peace? I'm sorry, but to have a project in the territory of our country, we don't need to agree upon this with anyone, let alone that the US and China have a strategic document where our crossroads of peace, our sovereign one, was recognized. But I reiterate, even if there are other documents. In the territory of our country, we don't need to agree upon anything with anyone, no matter what we call it, what name we give it. But the agreed upon name is TRIP route, Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. Now, with all these speeches, discussions, and everything, I say, Zangezur corridor is the Horadiz-Zangelan road, which may stretch to the border crossing point in the border with Armenia, before reaching the border with Armenia. Zangezur corridor, fine. Zangezur corridor, they can call it anything they want in the territory of their country. In the territory of our country, only we can determine names, or names can be determined with our agreement. We determined to crossroads of peace. With our agreement, it was decided to call it Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. In short, TRIP route and crossroads of peace. After this, every time they say Zangezur corridor, you should know that Zangezur corridor is not about the Republic of Armenia. It's their territory, the territory of their country, and there they can give it any name they like. I have no problem with it. It isn't about our country, so let us consider this topic closed. Like people say, when they say Baku, are we upset about it? No. Same way, Zangezur corridor, they call it. Horadiz-Zangelan is long, so they call it Zangezur corridor. Let them call it Zangezur corridor. We don't have problem with it. Thank you.